Have you ever felt like your life was stuck in a rut, or perhaps you're dealing with challenges that seem impossible to overcome? What if I told you that these struggles might be signs that something powerful is happening behind the scenes? God's transformation often comes disguised as discomfort, restlessness, or unexpected changes. But here's the truth. When God is preparing to move in your life, the process might feel uneasy at first. In fact, some of the most significant shifts come when you least expect them. Whether it's feeling unsatisfied despite everything seeming fine, or facing setbacks that shake you, these are the moments where God is shaping your future for greatness. You might be wondering how to know if God is truly at work. What are the signs that He's moving in your life, even when it feels like everything is falling apart? Well, today, we'll explore 10 powerful signs that God is transforming your life for the better. These signs aren't just about external blessings. They're about deep, inner growth that leads you to a place of purpose, peace, and abundance. Ready to discover what's happening behind the scenes? Let's dive in and see how God is preparing you for something greater than you can even imagine. When things seem just fine on the surface, but you can't shake that uneasy feeling, it's often a sign that something bigger is coming your way. You might find yourself wondering why you're feeling restless when everything looks good. But sometimes those feelings of discomfort are not a problem. They're a sign that God is stirring your heart, preparing you for something greater. You're about to step into a season of transition, and the angels are quietly guiding you toward it. The Bible speaks about seasons of change, reminding us that God's plans are always to prosper us. Maybe you've been working hard, trying to make things work, but something still feels off. That's the moment when God might be whispering that you're about to experience a divine shift. He doesn't want you to settle for just fine. He wants to take you to a place of abundance. It's like when you're on a path, and even though it seems okay, you feel the need to move. Pray. Trust the process, and understand that this discomfort is often the catalyst for your transformation. If you're in a job that doesn't fully satisfy you, or a relationship that feels stuck, this might be God preparing you for a change. It's easy to fall into complacency, thinking that comfort equals success. But God often works in mysterious ways. He uses discomfort as a gentle nudge to push you towards something better. And when you're feeling restless, that's when you should pay attention. The angels are preparing you for a new journey, one where your purpose will come into clearer focus. Take a moment to reflect on times when you felt discomfort before a breakthrough. Remember how, after the struggle, you emerged stronger and wiser. It's like when you're in the gym, pushing through that last set. It's painful in the moment, but the results are worth it. God is stretching your faith, growing your patience, and positioning you for a new chapter. Trust that He's preparing you for something far greater than you could ever imagine. The key to navigating this season is to stay open and aware. Restlessness is often a signal from God, calling you to move forward. Instead of resisting, embrace it. Know that you're not stuck, you're being repositioned. When you feel discomfort, don't fear it. It's God's way of preparing you for growth. The Bible tells us that He makes everything beautiful in His time. And this is just part of your beautiful transformation. You can pray during this time to seek guidance. Ask for clarity and trust that God will show you the way. Sometimes peace doesn't come from external circumstances. It comes from knowing that God has your back, that He's got a plan. And while you might not understand it fully yet, the restlessness will eventually make sense. You'll look back and see that God was always preparing you for something bigger and better. So, when that unease creeps in, remember that it's not a sign of failure. It's a divine invitation to embrace change. You're not just waiting for the next phase, you're being prepared for it. This is just the beginning of something incredible, and you'll soon understand how this transition is part of a greater purpose. When you encounter unexpected challenges or face a door that closes right in front of you, it can be frustrating, to say the least. You might think that this is a sign that things aren't going your way, but it's actually a divine opportunity in disguise. God often allows us to experience loss or closed doors to guide us into a new phase of life. It's like when a parent tells their child they can't go out yet. Not because they don't want them to have fun, but because they're preparing them for something even better. The Bible reminds us that God's ways are not always our ways, but His plans are always for our good. Closed doors are often seen as setbacks, but they're actually a way for God to redirect your path. Imagine trying to get into a building, and you find that the door you're pushing against won't budge. You could waste time and energy trying to force it open, or you could step back, take a breath, and look around for a different way in. That's what God wants you to do. Take a moment, trust His plan, and look for the new direction He's opening up for you. The angels are there, gently nudging you toward the next opportunity. Sometimes, when doors close, we feel like we've been abandoned, like we've lost something that we can never get back. But remember, God's timing is perfect. What seems like a loss is actually an opportunity for growth. He allows challenges to shape us, to build our character, and to stretch our faith. You might be faced with financial difficulties, a job loss, or a setback in a personal relationship. But it's in these moments that God is doing His deepest work in your life. Think about it. How many times have you experienced a loss or a closed door, only to realize years later that it was the best thing that could have happened? Maybe you didn't get that promotion you were hoping for, but that setback led you to pursue a new career path, one that you never would have considered otherwise. Or perhaps a friendship faded away, and in the silence, you found your true purpose. That's God's hand at work, guiding you towards something better. During these difficult moments, it's important to stay focused on God's promises. Pray for guidance, ask for wisdom, and trust that He will never leave you in the dark. The Bible tells us that He will make a way where there seems to be no way. When you face challenges, lean into your faith and hold on to the truth that these closed doors are just temporary. They are part of God's larger plan to move you into a new phase of life where blessings and purpose await. The key is not to dwell in frustration, but to move forward with hope. Challenges are not meant to break you, they are meant to build you. And when you're feeling lost or unsure, take a moment to pray and reflect. Ask God for the strength to trust the process, even when things don't make sense. The angels are with you, watching over you, and helping you navigate this period of transformation. Remember, a closed door is not the end of the road. It's simply God showing you a new path that will lead you to greater things. Embrace the challenges and trust that they are leading you to a life that's in alignment with your divine purpose. Sometimes God takes us through a journey where our perspective on life, people, and even ourselves completely shifts. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses. Suddenly, things become clearer. You might start seeing relationships and situations in a way you never have before. And while this can feel uncomfortable, it's actually part of God's plan to align you with your true purpose. The Bible reminds us that our thoughts are not God's thoughts, and His ways are higher. He's altering your perspective so that you can understand the bigger picture. If you've noticed that your circle of friends is changing, or if certain relationships no longer feel the same, it's likely that God is reshaping your view on connection. He might be showing you that some people in your life are no longer serving your higher purpose. Sometimes we hold on to relationships out of comfort or fear, but God calls us to let go of what no longer serves us so we can make room for divine connections. The angels are guiding you, helping you see who you need to move closer to and who you may need to step away from to grow. Think about how a photographer adjusts the lens to focus on the subject. When God changes your perspective, He's focusing you on what matters most: your purpose, your growth, and the people who align with it. You might find that certain friendships or activities that once brought you joy now seem hollow. This shift is God's way of making you realize that you're called to something bigger, and in order to fulfill that purpose, you need to adjust your focus. This transformation can be seen in how you approach challenges as well. Where you once may have been quick to complain or feel defeated, you might now find yourself looking at the situation with a new set of eyes. Maybe you're able to see opportunities where others see obstacles. This is God sharpening your character, preparing you for success. When you begin to see challenges as stepping stones, not roadblocks, you're getting closer to the person God is molding you to be. relationships also start to take on new meaning. You might feel led to step into mentorship roles or seek out more meaningful connections. God's shift in perspective can open your heart to deeper, more purposeful relationships. Maybe you'll begin to value quality over quantity, learning to pour into a few close friends or mentors rather than spreading yourself too thin. You'll begin to realize that true success isn't about how many people you know, but how deeply you connect with those who help you grow. During this transformation, prayer becomes an important tool. Pray for the wisdom to understand the changes happening within you and around you. Ask God to open your eyes to the relationships and opportunities that align with His purpose for your life. It's not always easy to embrace these changes, but with trust and prayer, you'll find peace in knowing that this shift is leading you exactly where you need to be. As God works in you, changing your perspective, you'll begin to see your purpose and the world in a whole new light. It's a thrilling journey, though it might not always feel easy. But when you look back, you'll realize that these changes were essential for the fulfillment of your divine calling. As you walk through your journey of transformation, you'll start to notice something profound happening. Certain people will begin to show up in your life at just the right moment. These aren't just ordinary acquaintances. They are divine connections sent by God to help guide, support, and encourage you on your path. The Bible tells us that God places the right people in our lives for specific purposes, and often these people arrive when we need them most, even if we don't realize it at first. The angels are working behind the scenes, positioning people to cross your path at just the right time. Sometimes, these divine connections come in the form of mentors. A mentor is someone who has walked the path you're on and is willing to share their wisdom and experiences to help you avoid mistakes and navigate challenges. It's like having someone who's already climbed the mountain and is now guiding you up. You might find this person unexpectedly, perhaps through a chance encounter, or maybe you've been praying for guidance, and suddenly, someone steps into your life with the exact advice you need. It's not a coincidence, it's divine timing. Other times, these connections come in the form of friends who understand your struggles and support you unconditionally. You may have known them for years, or they might be new faces who seem to just get you. These friends are like anchors, grounding you during times of uncertainty, offering encouragement when you feel lost, and reminding you that you're not walking this journey alone. God places them in your life to uplift you and help you stay focused on your divine purpose, even when the road seems tough. As you develop these connections, you'll also notice that they challenge you to grow. They'll push you to think differently, step outside your comfort zone, and embrace new opportunities. A mentor might give you a tough piece of advice, or a friend might offer you a different perspective that forces you to reevaluate your decisions. It can feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is part of the growth process. These connections are helping you develop into the person God designed you to be. Sometimes, divine connections aren't always easy or convenient. You may feel a little resistant, or maybe you don't see the immediate value in a particular person. But trust that God is bringing them into your life for a reason. They may not look like what you expected, but they are exactly who you need at that point in your journey. Just as iron sharpens iron, these relationships are sharpening you, preparing you for the greater purpose that lies ahead. The key is to remain open to these connections and trust that God is guiding them to you. Be intentional about building these relationships. Invest time in them, listen to what they have to offer, and pray for wisdom on how to navigate them. God will reveal His purpose for these divine connections in time. And when you look back, you'll see how each person played an essential role in your transformation. Remember, the people God sends into your life will help you grow, inspire you, and sometimes challenge you in ways that are uncomfortable, but necessary. Trust that these relationships are not random. They are part of God's greater plan for your success and fulfillment. When everything around you seems chaotic, yet you experience a deep sense of peace, it's one of the clearest signs that God is at work in your life. Peace in the midst of uncertainty is not the absence of problems. It's a divine reassurance that God is leading you through the storm. In these moments, when the winds of change blow hard, you might find that despite your circumstances, you feel calm and grounded. This is God's way of saying, "I've got this." And it's a sign that you're exactly where you need to be, even if you can't see it yet. Think about the times when you've been in a difficult situation but found yourself surprisingly peaceful. Perhaps you were facing a tough decision, or maybe life threw you a curveball, yet you felt an unexplainable calmness. That peace is the Holy Spirit at work, guiding you through uncertain times and preparing you for what's ahead. It's like when you're walking through a dark tunnel, but trust that there's light at the end. You may not see the light yet, but you feel confident that God is leading you toward it. During these times, prayer becomes your anchor. When you feel unsettled, pray for peace. Ask God to fill your heart with His assurance and trust that He will provide it. The Bible tells us that the peace of God surpasses all understanding. It's a peace that doesn't make sense by worldly standards. It's not based on what's happening around you, but on the unshakable trust that God is in control. Even when everything is up in the air, God's peace is a firm foundation beneath your feet. It's also important to remember that peace amidst uncertainty doesn't mean you won't feel fear or doubt. You can still have those emotions and yet find peace in the middle of them. God's peace doesn't erase feelings of discomfort or fear. Rather, it coexists with them, giving you the strength to keep moving forward. It's like walking through a storm and knowing that you won't be swept away because God is holding your hand every step of the way. During moments of uncertainty, you might feel the pull to take control or rush ahead, but God's peace encourages patience. Instead of forcing things to happen, you begin to trust the process, knowing that God is leading you towards something better. The angels are beside you, whispering encouragement to keep going, even when you don't have all the answers. This peace gives you the ability to wait without fear, to rest in the assurance that God is working behind the scenes for your good. As you continue your journey, let this peace remind you that God is always present, especially in times of uncertainty. When you feel like everything is shifting and you're unsure of where you're headed, God's peace is a sure sign that He's got your back. It's a reassurance that you are moving in the right direction, even if you can't see the destination yet. In these moments, embrace the peace that God gives. Let it fill you up, quiet your mind, and help you trust that the road ahead is leading to something wonderful. You don't need to have all the answers. God's peace will guide you through the uncertainty. Have you ever had a moment where you found yourself in the right place at the right time? It might have seemed like a coincidence, but when you look back, you realize that it wasn't. It was God orchestrating the perfect circumstances to align with your purpose. New opportunities often come in unexpected ways, but when you trust in God's timing, you begin to recognize them as gifts placed directly in your path. It's like a door opening when you least expect it, and that door leads you to a place of growth, success, and divine alignment. The Bible tells us that God has a plan for each of us, and He works all things together for our good. As you walk through life, you'll notice how He positions you exactly where you need to be to receive these opportunities. It's not always about being in the right place at the right time by chance. It's about trusting that God is positioning you. Even when things feel uncertain, God is working behind the scenes, making sure that the right opportunities arrive at the perfect moment. Sometimes these new opportunities don't always look glamorous at first. They might come disguised as challenges or discomforts, but when you approach them with faith and a willingness to step out of your comfort zone, you'll see how they align with God's plan for your life. Maybe you'll get an unexpected job offer or be invited into a new group of people who challenge your thinking. These moments might seem small, but they're stepping stones that will lead you to the larger opportunities God has in store for you. The key to recognizing these opportunities is to stay open and alert. It's easy to get distracted by the noise of life and miss the small doors that are opening in front of you. When you pray and ask God for guidance, be attentive to the subtle nudges He gives you. It might be a new project that feels outside your expertise, or a conversation with a stranger that sparks an idea you never considered before. These seemingly simple moments are often the key to unlocking doors that lead to the future you've been praying for. When God sends new opportunities, they often come with a sense of peace. While the unknown can feel intimidating, the peace that accompanies these opportunities reassures you that you're moving in the right direction. You might not have all the details, but the trust you have in God's plan will give you the courage to walk through the door. These opportunities are aligned with His purpose for you, and when you embrace them, you'll find that they open up new possibilities that you could never have imagined on your own. In these moments, prayer is essential. Ask God to reveal to you the opportunities that are aligned with His purpose for your life. Don't be afraid to take a step of faith and seize the moments that come your way, even if they don't seem like they fit your current plans. God is the ultimate guide, and when you trust Him, you'll find that He positions you in exactly the right places at the right times to fulfill your divine calling. When these new opportunities present themselves, embrace them with excitement and faith. Recognize that God is working all things together for your good, and every new opportunity is a chance to grow closer to the person He has destined you to be. Have you ever experienced a loss that left you feeling empty, wondering if you'd ever feel whole again? Whether it was the loss of a job, a relationship, or even something deeper like your sense of purpose, these moments can feel devastating. But what if I told you that God has a promise of restoration for you? The Bible is full of assurances that what was lost will be restored, and not just restored to its original state, but with abundance. God doesn't just fix what's broken, He makes it better than before. This is divine restoration in action. When we face losses, it's easy to get caught up in the grief and think that things will never be the same. But in these moments, it's important to remember that God doesn't waste pain. He uses every experience to shape us and bring us closer to the life He has for us. Through restoration, God turns the things we thought we had lost into blessings that multiply. Maybe you lost a job that you thought was your identity, only to find a new opportunity that fits you better, aligns with your gifts, and brings greater joy. This is divine restoration at work. Restoration isn't just about material things. It's also about the restoration of your peace, joy, and confidence. You might have experienced times when life felt like a constant battle, but God promises to restore your soul. Through prayer, trust, and surrender, He will bring back the joy you lost, the dreams you thought were gone, and the peace that surpasses all understanding. The process might take time, but God's promises are sure. He's not just restoring you, He's preparing you for something greater than you ever imagined. Sometimes restoration comes in unexpected ways. You might not see how the pieces of your life fit together, but God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly how to bring all things back together. Maybe He restores relationships you thought were broken beyond repair, or He opens new doors that you didn't even know existed. This is God's divine plan unfolding in your life. It's easy to feel stuck in your losses, but trust that restoration is already in motion, and when you look back, you'll see how far you've come. Restoration often comes with a sense of abundance. When God restores, He doesn't just give you back what you lost. He blesses you with more than you ever thought possible. This could mean a flourishing career, more meaningful relationships, or a deeper sense of purpose. It might feel like a fresh start, where you're no longer bound by past mistakes or regrets. God's restoration doesn't just heal. It elevates you to a place of greater blessings and abundance. In these times, remember to stay rooted in prayer. Ask God to reveal the areas in your life where restoration is needed, and trust that He will bring what's broken back to life. Lean into His promises, knowing that His timing is perfect. Even if things don't make sense now, God is working on your behalf, preparing you for a future that's full of His abundant blessings. Divine restoration is a beautiful process. It may feel like a long journey, but when you look back, you'll realize that the losses were necessary for the greater blessings that God had in store. Trust in His ability to restore, renew, and bring you into a place of abundance. When life gets tough, it's easy to question why you're going through so much. The challenges, the trials, the setbacks, they can all make you wonder if God really has a plan for you. But here's the truth. It's often in the most difficult moments that our faith grows the most. Challenges aren't just obstacles. They are opportunities to strengthen your trust in God and to build a deeper relationship with Him. You might feel stretched to your limits, but it's in these moments that God is refining your faith, preparing you for the greatness that lies ahead. Think about the last time you faced a real trial. At first, it might have felt overwhelming. You probably asked, "Why me?" or "How am I going to get through this?" But as you pushed through, you likely began to notice something amazing. Your faith began to grow. You started to rely on God in ways you hadn't before. Maybe you found yourself praying more, reading scripture with a new hunger, or trusting God in ways you never thought possible. This growth in faith doesn't happen overnight, but it's the result of navigating challenges with God by your side. The more you face trials, the more you learn to trust God's plans. You start to realize that nothing happens without His permission, and everything serves a purpose. You might not understand why things are happening in the moment, but through faith, you begin to accept that God's ways are higher than ours. The Bible reminds us that He works all things together for our good. Challenges, in that sense, aren't just inconveniences. They are part of God's divine strategy to shape you into who you are meant to be. Obedience plays a crucial role in this process. As your faith increases, you feel more willing to obey God, even when it's uncomfortable or doesn't make sense. You start to see the value in following His guidance, if trusting that His path is always the best one. Sometimes it's a small act of obedience, like forgiving someone who has hurt you or making a decision that requires you to step out of your comfort zone. Other times, it's a bigger leap of faith, like moving to a new city or changing careers. But each step of obedience brings you closer to God's purpose for your life. When you begin to trust more and obey more, you start to experience peace in the midst of trials. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the challenges, you feel more confident in God's ability to work them out. You know that He has a plan, and that plan is always for your good. Even if things aren't going according to your plan, you rest in the assurance that God's plan is better. This peace doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It just means that you have learned to trust God in the middle of it all. As you face more challenges and grow in faith, you'll also find that your relationship with God deepens. The trials that once seemed like obstacles now become opportunities for you to experience God's faithfulness. You begin to see that every hardship, every challenge, is a chance to build your trust in Him and to experience His power in ways you never imagined. The more you obey, the more you'll see His promises come to life in your own story. So, as you navigate the challenges of life, embrace them as opportunities for growth. The more you trust, the more you obey, and the more you'll experience the depth of God's love and faithfulness. Your faith will soar, and you'll become a living testimony of how God uses trials to bring about greater blessings. Have you ever found yourself feeling restless, even when everything in your life seems to be going well on the surface? Maybe your career is stable, your relationships are good, and your day-to-day life is comfortable. But deep down, something feels off, like there's an unshakable sense that there's more to life than what you're currently experiencing. That discomfort is not something to ignore. It's a powerful sign that God is preparing you for something bigger, something greater, and something better than you could ever imagine. Restlessness is often a divine signal that you're outgrowing your current season. It's easy to assume that feeling unsettled is a sign of discontentment or dissatisfaction with what you have, but it's actually God's way of stirring your spirit to let you know that He's getting ready to take you to a new level. This might mean a new job, a new relationship, or even a new season of personal growth. The Bible speaks about how God works in seasons, and just like the seasons change in nature, your spiritual season is shifting too. In these moments of restlessness, it's important to stop and reflect. Ask yourself, what is God trying to show me in this moment? Maybe He's calling you to step outside your comfort zone, or to embrace a new path. The discomfort you feel is a sign that God is preparing you for a transition. And while transitions can be uncomfortable, they are often the precursor to something wonderful. Think of it like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. The cocoon is tight and uncomfortable, but it's necessary for the transformation. This feeling of unrest often comes with a sense of longing, a desire for more purpose, more meaning, or a deeper connection with God. It's easy to ignore these feelings, but when you lean into them and seek God in prayer, He will begin to reveal the next steps in your journey. Trust that He knows what's best for you, even when it doesn't make sense. He's not leading you into discomfort without a purpose. In fact, discomfort is one of His tools for growth. As you trust Him, He'll reveal the new opportunities and blessings waiting on the other side of this restlessness. When you feel restless, it's also a great time to seek wisdom and guidance. The Bible says that if you lack wisdom, you should ask God, and He will give it generously. Ask Him to reveal His purpose for this season of your life and to help you see the bigger picture. Sometimes we get so caught up in the discomfort that we miss the lessons God is trying to teach us. Embrace the restlessness as an invitation to grow, to stretch, and to prepare for the transformation that is coming. And here's something powerful. The moment you acknowledge that this restlessness is a sign of something bigger, you start to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing it as a burden, you begin to see it as a blessing, a divine setup for the next chapter of your life. God is always working behind the scenes, preparing you for something far greater than your current reality. So, when you feel that discomfort, embrace it, pray through it, and trust that God is leading you to something even more amazing. The next time you feel that nagging sense of restlessness, remember that it's not a sign to settle or stay where you are. It's God gently nudging you towards something better, something bigger. Embrace it with faith and anticipation, knowing that God's plans for you are always greater than what you could have imagined on your own. As you've learned today, God's transformation process is a powerful journey that often begins with discomfort, but leads to incredible blessings. Each of the signs we've discussed is a testament to God's love and His perfect plan for your life. Remember, when you face challenges, restlessness, or unexpected opportunities, it's not a coincidence. It's part of God's divine strategy to shape you into the person He has called you to be. The journey may not always be easy, but every step brings you closer to the abundant life He promises. So, what's next for you? Are you ready to embrace the changes and trust that God is leading you to something better? Take a moment to reflect on the signs we've discussed today. Which one resonates with you the most? How can you take action and align yourself with God's transformation in your life? The power to change and grow is within you, and with God by your side, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. If you want to continue learning about how to navigate life's transformations and experience God's blessings, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Stay connected for more insights, encouragement, and wisdom to help you live the life you're meant to live. It's time for your transformation. Don't miss out on what God has in store for you.